Well, good morning. Good morning and good morning. So, as I get everything up and running on the website, I just want to say that I apologize. Yesterday, I did not do day 19 of transforming prayer. And so today, when Vicky and I do the video, we will do day 19 and day 20 all in one. Okay. So I just kind of got caught up and completely forgot. And I remembered after I went to bed. And so by that point, yeah. So I want to begin this morning looking at Genesis chapter 26. So we're going to go there. There we go. So when I went to Genesis 26, I was actually just going all through the scriptures, looking for and looking at all of the examples of Jew first, Gentile second. Not Jew only, but Jew first, Gentile second. And then I was looking at Genesis 26:4, where it says, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and will give your descendants all these lands, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Jew first, Gentile second. So as I was gathering these examples, I decided to keep on reading through. And I got down to verse 15 of chapter 26, where it says, now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham, his father, speaking of Isaac, the Philistines stopped up by filling them with earth. And so, as I've said many, many times, I am a why kind of guy. I want to know why something happened. I want to know why it happened when it happened. So when laying upon my deathbed in 2009, I knew I was afraid to die. Well, I wanted to know why I was afraid to die. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to know why. I'm the why kind of guy. So as I really looked at it and just meditated on it, really, I realized that I didn't want to die because I didn't want to go to hell. And I knew that hell was exactly where I was heading and exactly what I deserved, right? So as I was continued reading and I read Genesis 26:15, I want to know why anybody would want to fill a well that's giving this life-giving water, right? The water is all good. It's not dried up. It's a well. I want to know why anybody would fill it with dirt. So, of course, in this scenario, it was done to douse Isaac's flame, right? To rain on his parade, so to speak. See, Isaac was blessed and he was becoming more powerful, right? And his wealth was growing. So let's continue to read. Because I can't tell you how many times someone has attempted to fill my well, okay, to douse my flame. Many of you out there right now a lot of people are in the well filling business when you need to be, you should be, and you must be in the well digging business. There's so many people out there right now that would rather discourage than to encourage, right? And so many people even devote ministries to telling others what is wrong with their ministry or what is wrong with everybody else. And sometimes I wonder if maybe they're testifying instead of prophesying. You know, like maybe when they tell somebody how miserable their life will be if they do this, maybe it's really just a testimony of how miserable their life is. So maybe, just maybe, when someone sits and can point out the wrongs in others, maybe it's because that is what is wrong with them. So, you know, or their life. So maybe they're testifying and not prophesying. So when we look at verse 16, It says, and then Abimelech said to Isaac, go away. Go away from us. You're too powerful for us. See, I sometimes also wonder if that's not why others try so hard to discourage other people. And why some people try so hard to down other people, because maybe they feel that those individuals threaten them in some way, shape, or some form, right? So I just wanted to read down a few more verses. So then Isaac, all right, and now Isaac departed from there, and he camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water, which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. And he gave them the same names which his father had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well flowing water, the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with the herdsmen of Isaac, saying, the water is ours. And so Isaac named that well Esek, okay, because they contended with him. And then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one too. And so then Isaac named that well Sitnah. And then they dug another well, and they didn't quarrel. So, but he moved away from there, and then they dug another well, and they didn't quarrel over that one. And so because they didn't quarrel over it, he named it Rehoboth. And then Isaac said, at last the Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful here. And so I want to look at a few words that are used here, because words are powerful. Words have meaning, right? So the word Esek, it means contention. The word Sitnah, it means enmity. The word Rehoboth means plenty of room. So there is power in our words. Words have meaning. See, not only are these significant names or words, but they're the same ones that his father, Abraham, used, right? The same ones. And so that got me to thinking, don't ask me how, because I don't know. But that got me to thinking about how many words do we use today that do not mean what they originally meant? If we know that the enemy has come to kill and steal and destroy, right? What about Luke 19:10? Jesus said he's come to seek and to save, or to restore that which was lost. Not those, but that. So, excuse me. And okay, before I get any deeper into this, before I get any deeper into the words that have changed meaning, or the words that have been perverted and tainted by the enemy of your soul, let's take a look at just a few events, as well as a commercial ad for our new show, for Vicky and I's new show, Dry Bones, that's on Take on the World TV. And our second show is tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's take a quick look at that little commercial ad and some events that are coming up.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
And now I just realized that my mic was muted. So, to repeat myself, so my mic was probably muted through our events as well, but it is what it is. And so just keep those events lifted up in prayer if you would. Also, wow. Okay, so we're going to look at some words, right? Some words that the enemy of your soul has taken some words, he's stolen them, he's murdered them, crushed them, destroyed them, twisted them, perverted them, tainted them, all this stuff. And we're going to look at some of those words because that's what I got, okay? I mean, there is a whole lot to get from Genesis 26, right? But I was looking at those words. Essek, contention, Sitna, enmity, Rehoboth, plenty of room. I mean, words have meaning. And so when we allow somebody to change words, then we allow them to taint the meaning of the words. So let's look at gay, okay? Because I'm going to let you know, I wasn't gay when I was a homosexual, nor was I very gay when I was transgender. Why? Because I was miserable. What? David, what are you talking about? Well, gay means merry, airy, jovial, sportive, frolicsome, okay? It means happy, joyful, cheerful, cheery, merry, jolly, lighthearted, mirthful. But wait a minute. Because when I look up gay in today's dictionary, David, it says of a person, homosexual, a homosexual, especially a man. Huh. And there's a new one for everybody, a lesbian gay. What the heck is a lesbian gay? Well, let's find out. Relating to lesbians, bisexuals, and male homosexuals. Wow. Really? None of these words existed, okay, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Lesbian gay? And it wasn't so long ago that gay meant happy, which is what it means. And Jesus being the source of all joy and happiness, right? He's the one that makes us gay. Just imagine the shock and the eyeballs that are popped out when I can stand in front of a congregation and say, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, for making me gay. People are like, uh-oh, I think we got the wrong guy. Man, oh man. And so another word, queer. So queer means odd, means singular, or singular is hence whimsical, right? The odd man out, the queer man out. It means strange. If we look it up in today's dictionary, it does say strange or odd. And then when you look down, or when you go any further, it says queer is an umbrella term for sexual and gender minorities who are not heterosexual or are not cisgender. What the heck did you just say, David? So they have a word that they made up, that they created, okay, that the enemy has created, and it's cisgender. So I met a young man one time, and I believe it was when I was in the high school, and he said, well, I'm cisgender. I said, oh, he said, I'm a cis man. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? In my head, I'm thinking, what's that mean? Cis man, sissy man means he's homosexual? What? I don't know. I said, well, what's that mean? He says, cisgender. I'm cisgender. I says, oh, what's that mean? He says, it means that the medical community identified me as male at birth. And I identify as a male. I said, well, That's because you're a male. That's because you're a male. Not because nobody labels you male or female. You either are or you are not a male. And there's nothing outside of male or female. So it was really hard for him to grasp that. And so then I was guilty of discrimination. We said, well, why would you discriminate like that? I said, well, wait a minute. Discriminate's not a bad thing. It's not a bad word. Why is it made out to be a bad word? Why, if somebody says that you're discriminating, does anyone feel shame for discriminating? Let's look at the word discriminate. Discriminate. To distinguish. To separate. To mark with notes of difference. To discriminate is to make a difference or distinction. To observe a note or note a difference. Distinguished. Hello. Why is discriminate a bad thing? Discriminate now, they say, actually, it says make an unjust or prejudicial distinction in the treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, sex, or age. So it went from just making a distinction, being able to differentiate, to separate, right? To an unjust or prejudicial distinction. So the enemy is why discriminate is such a bad word, but it's not. I discriminate. Yes, I discriminate. I discriminate. I have to choose what is right and what is wrong. And guess who else is going to discriminate? Yah Almighty, the Almighty God above. He's going to discriminate when he separates the goat and the sheep. What? Yeah. Yah is going to discriminate when he separates the wheat from the chaff. But wait a minute. I'm not being very tolerant, am I? Well, what's it mean for me to tolerate? Let's look at it, shall we? Tolerate. To suffer, to be, or to be done without prohibition or hindrance. To allow or permit negatively by not preventing. So wait a minute. So you want me to tolerate you, but so in other words, you want me to allow or permit you to do something negatively, right? Not to restrain. Wait a minute. What do you mean? As to tolerate opinions or practices. I think I'm pretty tolerant. All right. But am I going to allow or permit negatively? No. I'm going to allow or permit something positively. Okay? Because negatively means that I don't really tolerate you at all, right? So we've accepted all these words as being shameful or different or just totally opposite of what they are. And we've accepted some words that don't even exist. One word that I was pleased to run across was the word replenish. You see, let's look at replenish. Replenish means to fill, to finish. Okay? See, there's a whole nother teaching out there that there were people on earth before Adam and Eve. regardless of the scriptures being very clear when it says in the beginning, which to me means in the beginning, right? And that Adam was the first man that was created. So this movement, it's called the gap theory. And they use the word replenish because when you look up the word replenish now, see, when God said to Adam and Eve just to go out and replenish the world, he meant to fill, to stock with numbers or abundance, to finish, to complete, right? But that word replenish has went from meaning to fill to meaning to fill again. Let's see if I can share the new meaning with you because it's important. So the new meaning of replenish is to fill something up again, restore or restock or resupply, right? See the perversion there? How they come up with these words that they change the meaning over time. See, in the word replenish, and it's a good example because when you read the scriptures, when you read Genesis, it says in the beginning, right? Which means in the beginning. So when Adam was created, right? Why would anyone think that there were people on earth before man was even created, before the beginning? Doesn't make sense, right? And it really doesn't. So we have to look at the words because words mean something and words matter. So when Yahweh said to go out and replenish, he meant to go out and to fill, to stock, not to refill. So the way that word, it happened was, original meaning was to fill. And then they added a secondary meaning to refill. And then over some more years, it went from the secondary meaning became the first meaning, and the first meaning became the secondary meaning. And then eventually the secondary meaning didn't exist because it only meant to refill. Thus is where the gap theory nonsense comes from. Okay. Now, what about words that aren't words at all because they're made up? What, like the definition is a hoax, or it doesn't even exist. Homosexual. What about the word homosexual? Well, see, the word homosexual never really existed. Anybody that was guilty of sodomy, and let me get this, let me make this clear, okay? Because we all like to say that homosexuals are sodomites, and they are, but so are most of us, whether we ever committed the sin of homosexuality or not, right? So are most of us, because sodomy, by definition, means a crime against nature, okay? And the more detailed definition says that it is oral or anal sex or bestiality. And it doesn't matter if it's between a man and a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman. Sodomy is sodomy. Crime against nature. Any unfruitful act. Any act, sexual act that does not bear fruit. Some people even like to say that self-love or masturbation is also sodomy. Hey. So the word homosexual came about to take away the stigma of the word sodomite. Because, you know, there was a lot more sin going on in Sodom and Gomorrah than homosexuality. It's not, homosexuality is not why Sodom was destroyed. Okay? Sodom was destroyed because of a plethora, an abundance of sin. So what about the word transgender? Actually, transgender doesn't exist either. It's another made-up word to appease people who are confused. Because gender dysphoria, that's what it means, gender confusion. Dysphoria means confusion. So transgender was created as another nicety because confused or mentally disturbed didn't quite sound right. And then there's the word bisexual. And that's got everyone fooled. In reality, anybody who is a God-fearing, Bible-believing person, man or woman, had better know and believe that bisexual doesn't exist. Because if a man lays with another man, it doesn't matter if one of them men are want to dress up as, can pretend to be, thinks they are, shoulda, coulda, woulda, want to be, or can pay to be the opposite, or think and believe or identify as the opposite sex, they're still a man, right? So if a man lays with a man outside of wedlock, wait a minute. Ooh. If a man lays with a man, I got ahead of myself. Do not trust me. That's not what I meant. If a man lays with a man, he's guilty of the sin of homosexuality, okay? And I'm going to use the word homosexuality because homosexuality is a sin. And if I try to refer to men laying with men, I just wanted to be clear. Homosexuality is a sin, okay? Sodomy of any kind is a sin. So those two men are guilty of the sin of homosexuality. And if a man lays with a woman outside of wedlock, then they're guilty of the sin of fornication and in some cases adultery. So bisexual doesn't exist. And if it does, if we continue to use the word in the sense that it is defined by the world, then we're saying that it is an orientation, which means that homosexuality is an orientation, which means that we're all wasting our time here, because if it's an orientation, it's God created. When God created us with one perfect design, our good heterosexual design, that's our design. We can't change that. We can deny it. We can try to drown it out. We can refuse it by accepting other sins, but it doesn't change the fact that that's how we were created, in a good heterosexual design. So I could probably go on and come up with a whole bunch of other words that don't mean anything, but that's my time. Thank you guys. Remember, sometime this morning, Vicky and I will be doing day 19 from yesterday and day 20 for today of transforming prayer. So please join us. Also, if you have not subscribed to Take on the World TV, please go to their channel. Go to youtube.com/Take on the World TV and subscribe so you can see Dry Bones tomorrow night, because it will not be on, it does not stream live on this channel. It streams live on Take on the World TV. So if you haven't went, please go and subscribe. I appreciate you. I love you. Have a blessed day. Peace.